You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today on this Weight Loss Wednesday show, we're going to get into the best and worst sweeteners for both wellness and weight loss. And the reason why I link the two together is because if you've been struggling to lose weight or keep the weight off or just stay trim and in good shape, it is because you've probably been trying to force your body to lose weight, meaning like you're trying to hack the system, as they say, to manipulate your body against its will to keep the pounds off. And the issue with that is it's all short-term based thinking. Long-term based thinking about rebalancing the body from the inside out allows you not only to lose the weight, but to do it effortlessly. I mean, honestly, that's how it works, is you don't have to try to lose weight when your body is healthy, because a healthy body cannot be overweight. And that's what I obviously stress in my practice. And so we do that every single day. And the reason I think I'm pretty successful at that is we stay away from all the fad-based things. So if there's a fad diet right now, we're not using it. It's because we've been doing this for too long. We know it works. We know it doesn't work. And we're never willing to do something that is not going to be good for the long term. Now, can we do things in the short term like a 7-day, 14-day, or 21-day detox or something like that? Absolutely. But that is part of an overall main plan or major plan. And that plan is once you do that and you get that quick weight loss of 5 to 10 pounds your first week, 10 plus pounds in 14 days, 15 or more pounds in 21 days, it's also to keep that weight off, right? We're happy to have you lose it quickly as long as it's done safely. And only if, this is a big thing, if you get to keep it off after that. And so we're kind of teaching a healthy lifestyle as well. That's obviously a big part of my plan. But one thing you might not know that's actually been shown to hurt your weight loss, but not only that, create a higher incidence of type 2 diabetes, cancer, neurological issues, brain damage, ADD, ADHD, migraines, headaches, and digestive issues is artificial sweeteners. And not a lot of people know this. And that's because when you're trying to diet, or maybe you're just trying to do something like for your own wellness, you're like, well, you know what? This one has 0 calories, or I can get this in a different flavor, but again, less grams of sugar. Well, sometimes that comes at a cost, because if it's sweet and it doesn't have any calories or doesn't have any sugar, you have to ask yourself, why is this thing sweet? So a lot of like things that we don't even think about, whether it's even medications or children's vitamins, toothpaste, the gum we chew, some types of certain like beverages or drinks, pre and post workout drinks. I'll be going into that tomorrow, the dangers of those. Alcoholic beverages, a lot of like our favorite maybe treats as well. They use artificial sweeteners rather than regular sugar, thinking you're doing yourself a benefit when you're not. We're going to talk about that. Yogurt's a big one. You know, yogurt's putting in all sorts of different fake sweeteners to keep the sugar down, but your protein up. And then salad dressings. I think that's one of the things that are just notorious for putting fake sweeteners in. Probably the number one thing, though, it really is beverages. You're drinking all these 0-calorie marketed things, but the problem is 0 calories always comes at a cost if it's an actual food that you're putting in your mouth, right? Almost nothing in nature is 0 calories. There are a few exceptions, which I will actually be talking about today. So one thing I'd like to bring to you is that there's some really bad artificial sweeteners out there, and I want to go over those today because there's, I would say, a top 5 that most people agree on that are really bad artificial sweeteners. Now, artificial sweeteners are 0 calorie, and they're promoted as good for you only because they don't have any calories. But again, just like I mentioned in the very beginning of the show, it's about the long term, right? In the short term, hardly anything is going to cause that much damage, but in the long term, massive damage. Okay, so what's one of the first ones? Aspartame. Aspartame has been around for quite some time. I think it's been about 30 to 40 years now it's been out. It's used in thousands of different products. It is being recalled more and more now because although they can't definitively show this, it is causing a lot of neurological based issues and a lot of issues that kind of mimic ADD, ADHD, learning disabilities, autism are being linked with these artificial sweeteners and especially aspartame. And a lot of things too that are manipulated in a lab, our bodies simply don't know how to process. And that's kind of what I'm going over today. Aspartame that's found in things like NutraSweet or Equal are not natural. They are man-made in a lab. Right now, it's showing that it creates oxidative damage in the body, which does hurt your brain and does hurt the overall cellular structure. So overall, anti-aging is an issue. And with a lot of people, this does create anxiety, and it creates migraines and headaches and all sorts of different issues like that. And you'll also find that most of these artificial sweeteners also can damage your liver and kidneys because they're not meant to process these man-made chemicals. So the next one, now this had everyone fooled, like almost everyone, right? And this was about 10, 12 years ago when it was like really, really popular. And it's called sucralose. Most people know it as Splenda. Now Splenda is very close to being sugar. However, one molecule is removed and it's replaced with chlorine. And chlorine, now we should have known, everyone should have known, but chlorine, and I believe this product, and you can look back on the research, was actually looking to be used as a pesticide. It's that crazy. But when something contains chlorine, that includes your own tap water as well. Now, does chlorine kill bacteria and pathogens? Yes, but now think about it. If you put chlorine into your gut, what else does it do? It kills the good bacteria in your own intestines, and it almost works like an antibiotic, an anti-life, not good for long-term digestive health. And they're also finding issues now with people being able to regulate blood sugar. So not a good thing. We cannot use Splenda as well. Okay, so let's talk about acesulfame K. So acesulfame K is in things like, I haven't seen too many of these around the Boston, New England area, but definitely in what's called ACE or Sweet One or Sweet and Safe. And a lot of these right now have been issues with essentially nausea, stomach upset, impaired liver and kidney function, again, because of how it's made and how it's typically processed. They put it in gum and candies, and that's why a lot of these things are given kids too, which is really, really troubling, in my opinion. Not to mention that most of these are now being linked with more susceptibility to cancer. And the reason is they're not able to be detoxified as well. They damage the liver. The liver is able to produce things like glutathione S-transferase, which is a massive natural-made antioxidant that helps your body detoxify, and our bodies need that to keep cancer away. It's simply not able to be broken down properly by the body. So when it's in an alcohol, when it's in a candy, when it's in these, sweetened-based beverages or yogurt, it causes damage to the body and potentially really leads to things that you don't want, which is dealing with cancer 5, 10, 15 years from now. So just be careful of that. This is a big one. I remember Sweet and Low. This used to be something that I would see my grandfather, I think, sometimes put in his coffee or something like that when we were out. And it's been shown now that it may lead to bladder cancer. And the other issue is this saccharin. So saccharin's in a lot of, I think, sweetened medications that I've seen. So cough syrups predominantly, right? Because you have to put something in that cough syrup to actually be able to drink it down or to get kids to drink it down as well. But the issue is it does cause issues with the digestive system and potentially certain types of cancer. Now, the last one is one that I've been kind of going back and forth on over the last couple of years. And the reason is I just work with so many people now with digestive issues. Half my practice is working with SIBO, Crohn's, colitis, IBS, you name it, celiac. So what I'm looking at is these things called sugar alcohols, things like xylitol and erythritol and maltitol and mannitol and sorbitol. If it ends in OL, it is most likely a sugar alcohol. So it's easy to look at. Now, since I do so much work with a very customized version of a FODMAP plan, and these things are fermentable in the gut, even though they're zero calorie, or I shouldn't say zero calorie, they're not quite a sugar, they're a sugar alcohol. They're not processed in the same way, yet even though they're not digested very well, they can allow for fermentation by negative forms of bacteria as well as yeast candida. So my issues with sugar alcohols is some people can digest them, some people can't. Meaning, like, some people get terrible gas and cramping and bloating and diarrhea, and some people don't, And so it's kind of like, can sugar alcohols be good for some people and not good for others? Well, I would say they're not really great for anyone. But yes, some people don't seem to have a lot of immediate consequences from these. So I simply don't recommend them in my plan because I see no need to eat a food that would contain a sugar alcohol. For example, a lot of protein bars contain sugar alcohols. One of the number one selling protein bars right now, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these packaged protein bars, contains over 10 grams of sugar alcohol. I mean, that's just not a great idea in the long run, not a very good natural alternative. So what can you use? Well, I'm going to keep this really simple. So those are the main ones you want to stay away from, which I just named them. Let me just do a quick recap. Aspartame, typically found in Equal and NutraSweet. Natritaste Blue. Sucralose, typically found in Splenda. Acesulfame K, typically found in Sweet and Save, Sweet 1. Saccharin, typically found in a little pink packet called Sweet and Low. And then all of your sugar alcohols, which a lot of people know them by xylitol and sorbitol, and you just have to be careful for those, again, because of digestive issues. But the main thing, these things are 0 calorie, 0 sugar, yet they've been shown to increase blood sugar levels. They've been shown to increase incidence of type 2 diabetes, incidence of cancer, all sorts of issues with mood and learning disabilities. We just want to stay away. That's the bottom line, especially when we have great alternatives. Now, you're not going to probably believe this at first, but using a natural maple syrup or natural raw honey are so much better for you than these other sweeteners. And here's why. People think of it like, oh, well, there's so much sugar in honey and there's so much sugar in maple syrup. There is, but you have to look at the total quantity. Like, think about this. In my greens powder in the morning, I use the daily fruit and vegetable blend. I put in a half a teaspoon of raw honey. Or I take that after I drink my greens. It's my fun little chaser, I guess, after my greens. But you can do it either way. And the thing is, a half a teaspoon is less than 5 grams of sugar. It's more like 2.5, 3 grams. A full teaspoon might be around 5 to 6 grams. So those, at that small amount, you're not really going to get the negative side effects of sugar. And that will be burned off immediately, meaning like just through the thermogenic effect of you actually eating food is going to be burned off very quickly. But let's say, okay, I don't really want to use any sweetener at all, any sugar. I totally understand that. Okay, so what could you do next? Well, my recommendation for an actual natural sweetener, not an artificial ones I just named, but a natural one would be stevia. Now, a lot of people go back and forth about stevia, and I have to be honest with you, it's because stevia, all forms of stevia are not created equal. And although I never like to disparage any one company, I just want to talk a little bit about how stevia is actually made. Stevia comes from a plant, for the most part from Brazil. It's been used for close to 2,000 years as a safe natural sweetener, but also as an herbal remedy. And it was used as an herbal remedy in Japan as well. And they, a lot of times, were using the green leaf stevia, which is much more natural, but only, I think, about 30 to 40 times the sweetness of sugar. Now, not only, obviously, that's a lot sweeter, right? But when you're looking at the fake sweeteners out there, they're 200 times sweeter. So they're just a different form of stevia. And that's because stevioside is slightly bitter, but it's one of the forms of sweetener in stevia, and most people remove that when creating stevia in general. So a product like Truvia, for example. Truvia is only really about 1% total stevia. That means that it's not really like stevia, right? So what can we do? Well, very, very simply, is stevia has over 1,000 studies right now where it's used for all sorts of health-based benefits as well, right? So anti-cancer, being used for weight loss, being used to actually regulate blood sugar, unlike the artificial ones, which raise blood sugar and hurt your chances, or I should say, will allow you a better chance of getting type 2 diabetes, which is not what you want. Stevia can help with cholesterol, though. It can help lower blood sugar. People are using it right now in the study of Lyme disease. So again, I have no problem using stevia. Just like anything, though, whether it's sugar or stevia, you just want to use a small amount. That's all, just a small amount, and only when needed. That's it. So that's how I look at it. That's overall, and that's why I'm recommending get as close to nature as possible. Try to use a raw form of stevia. If you're going to use the extract, totally fine, but just make sure it's non-GMO. Try to get it organic if you can, or wild, and try not to use the ones that aren't really stevia, the ones that kind of like patented and go through like dozens of forms of extraction and processes like Truvia. And again, I'm not disparaging them, but what I'm saying is I like going closer to nature, and that's why I do recommend a true stevia rather than one of the ones that are a little bit more processed. So hopefully that makes sense. So when you're looking at them, you're going to avoid those 5 detrimental forms of artificial sweeteners, understanding that, yes, in the short term, they're 0 calorie, but in the long term, they are detrimental to not only your weight loss, but also also your overall health and wellness. So instead, we're going to do what I recommend in my practice every single day. Use natural raw honey as a little bit, just a little bit. That's all you need of raw honey or of maple syrup. And then, as needed as well, you can use a more natural form of stevia, which does not cause a lot of the adrenal issues or blood sugar issues, a lot of things that are unfounded around it. There's just one little thing I do have to mention is that if you currently suffer from a ragweed-based issue, a lot of plants can actually exacerbate that, just like chamomile can or ashwagandha can, and stevia can do the same. So my recommendation is get rid of those ragweed allergies by healing up that gut, by lowering the sensitivities in general, and then you'd be able to use things like chamomile and ashwagandha and things like stevia, no problem at all. So hopefully you enjoyed today's show, and as always, if this can help anyone else that you know, please do feel free to pass it on to them. Have a great day, everyone.
Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.